भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतिरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजाता सहगना वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त श्रीराधा कान्त नमोऽस्तु ते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्रीराधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वां च कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, Prabhuji's Mataji's welcome you all to today's discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam as part of Bhakti Vaibhav session. One second. Hare Krishna. So last time we had seen how Parikshit Maharaj, while residing in this kingdom, he understood about Kali Yuga, the symptoms of Kali Yuga, penetrating in different ways into various parts of his kingdom. And in order to counteract this specific scenario of Kali Yuga spreading its influence while Parikshit Maharaj was still ruling the kingdom, uh, based on the principles of religion under the directions and guidance of the qualified Brahmanas, Parikshit Maharaj set out of his palace to deal with the situation. And Srila Prabhupada gave a very specific example. Anybody recollects that example? Prabhuji's, Mataji's? What was the example Srila Prabhupada gave about Parikshit Maharaj deciding to deal with this situation hands on rather than sitting quiet and just passively watching it? What was the example that Bhagavatam gives, Srila Prabhupada gives in the purport? Anyone? Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada gives example of people using umbrella during a downpour, during rain, heavy rain. So while during heavy rain, it pours so heavily all across and nobody is spared. But that doesn't mean that one doesn't put an effort to protect oneself from that rain by carrying umbrella with him or her. So similarly, although the Kali Yuga was destined to enter, to make entry after the conclusion of the pastimes by Lord Krishna, Parikshit Maharaj did not sit quietly, idly, and just keep looking at it. He wanted to put his efforts in order to counteract it. And when Parikshit Maharaj was going all over the different parts of his kingdom, we see that he was being offered welcome addresses by people all around, specifically singing the glories of his forefathers, of his grandparents, Pandavas, in relationship of their devotional service, stature of their devotional service towards Lord Krishna, and also glories of Parikshit Maharaj himself, who happened to receive the mercy of the Lord at a very young age, not even young age, before even his birth, when he was in the womb of his mother. He was offered protection by the Lord from Brahmastra weapon. So Parikshit Maharaj was being offered all these glorifications as part of the welcome addresses wherever he went. And then at one particular point in time, at one particular place, Parikshit Maharaj had this mystic vision, which was not available for common people in general, of Dharma in the form of a bull addressing mother cow, uh, who was there in the form of a cow, and both of them, they were in a very very pitiable condition, where three out of four legs of that bull were cut off, and even mother earth in the form of the cow was also in a very miserable, lamentable condition. And the conversation had begun between Dharma and Mother Earth, where Dharma is making various inquiries to inquire about the well being of Mother Earth and asking what are the reasons, basically mentioning many of the scenarios which probably could be the cause for the lamentation of Mother Earth in the form of the cow. So we had just begun this section, we had covered this verse, text 20. So maybe we'll start with 21. Anyone has any question, query so far, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, before we proceed? Hare Krishna. All right. So I think this part also we covered, text 21, where we had mentioned how in Kali Yuga, the women are, and children, they also need to suffer because of the behavior of the unscrupulous people. And specifically, one of the symptoms of the downfall in the age of Kali is also the falling down of the institution of marriage, and which we can see all around us. And we will also discuss this as part of the symptoms that Dharma is discussing with Mother Earth. Just to explain, what do we mean by the falling down of the institution of marriage? In the Western countries, especially in US and some of the European countries as well, the distrust amongst the male population and the female population has increased so much, to the extent that before even the man and the woman they get married, there are legal formalities and documentation where both parties are making sure of their own self-interest being protected in the case of divorce, in the case of separation. That means the distrust is so much that even before the marriage is taking place, people are planning for separation, thinking that what if it happens, as if it is invariably going to happen itself. So it's very, very pitiable condition. And going one step further, many of the young people in countries like China and all, they are refusing to get married because of the legal hassles which arise in case of separation. So this itself shows one of the characteristics of the degradation in the age of Kali, the falling of marriage as the institution. So here in this verse, Dharma inquires to Mother Earth if she is lamenting because of the condition of the women and children, because of the unscrupulous persons on this earthly planet in Kali Yuga. So we will proceed further. And here Srila Prabhupada mentions, circumstantially, the woman will try to become independent of the protection of men, and the marriage will be performed as a matter of formal agreement between man and woman. And this is clearly visible in the example that we saw from the Western countries. All right, so let's start with this verse, text 22nd. Anybody would like to recite the verse? Prabhuji's, Mataji's, Hare Krishna. Devotees who want to read or recite can keep your hands raised, and then we will request one by one. Gita Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah.
Kim Kshetra Bandhun Kalinopashastran
Kim Shastra Bandhon Kalinopashastran
Rashtrani Vadir Avarokitani
Rashtranivatar Avarokitani
Itastato Vasana Panavasaha
Itistato
Vasanapanavasaha
Nanavayo Kha Jivalokam
Jivalokam.
Translation.
The so-called administrators are now bewildered by the influence of this age of Kali, and thus they have put all state affairs into disorder. Are you now lamenting this disorder? Now the general populace does not follow the rules and regulations for eating, sleeping, drinking, mating, etc., and they are inclined to perform such anywhere and everywhere. Are you unhappy because of this?
Thank you, Mataji. So we see in this specific verse, bull, dharma in the form of bull, is inquiring about the degradation of the basic necessities which are common across human life and across animal life, namely the necessities of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And the degradation in terms of following these basic necessities because of people in Kali Yuga not following any rules and regulations. So, what do we mean by not following any rules and regulations in terms of these basic necessities of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending? So, we go one by one. For example, for eating, which is such a sacred thing, like Bhagavad Gita explains that the type of consciousness which goes into cooking the food, the same type of consciousness also permeates within all of us, and it also denotes our state of consciousness. And Bhagavad Gita specifically mentions in the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita that those people who cook and consume the food just for what is that, verse 3.13. Can anyone refer to Bhagavad Gita?
Yashtavishtasina Santo Mother Prabhuji.
Yes. Yajna Shishta Shina Santo
Muchyante
Muchante
Sarva Kilbishaihi Bhunjate
Bunjate.
Param Papa Ye Pachantyatma Karanat.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. Specifically, Bhagavad Gita mentions that those people who are cooking and consuming the food for bunjate, for self enjoyment, for enjoyment of their own palate, then such people, they are nothing but consuming only papa, the sin. And we see in Kali Yuga, as shown in this particular photo on the slide, that people, they use various types of ingredients in disproportionately, like say for example excessive use of butter, cheese, and not even a good quality butter and cheese, resulting into not only issues in terms of the consciousness, but also in the more gross forms, in the form of dysfunctioning of the body. Like, we are stunned, shocked to see the cases of cardiac arrest, heart attacks occurring in people even of a very young age. Like just few days back, there was a news about a 14-year-old boy here in India dying because of cardiac arrest. And just yesterday, there was an article about a 7-year-old girl. That means people so young of age, they are also passing away by this particular health situation, which was totally unheard of few years back. And one of the reason for this is the degradation of the cooking process, how the food is cooked, where total focus is on satisfying the tongues, the palates of people, rather than cooking it in a sattvic manner so as to offer it to Lord Krishna and accept, partake of that offering in the form of prasadam. So this is one type of degradation where the eating process is completely becomes unregulated, irregulated, without any rules and regulations. Then eating, sleeping, mating. In terms of sleeping, we can see that Bhagavad Gita itself mentioned that what is night for a self-realized soul, it is the day for a karmi, for a materialistic person, and vice versa. What is day for a self-realized soul, it is the night for a materialistic person. So many people, it has become a common norm. You will find a exception of a family who where all the members, they go to bed by around 9:30. Most of the people, even in the common household that we see around, they go to bed 12:30, 1 o'clock, yeah, or even later, if those people are like bachelors and all that. So sleeping habit has also become unregulated. Similarly, mating in the name of public display of affection, we see in the Western countries, and even now it is coming to India, what they call as public display of affection, where men and women, they act just like animals, not having any shyness, not having any shame in terms of behaving in an uh, immoral way in front of elders or other people in the name of public display of affection. So that way, this process of man and woman coming together for the progeny of Krishna conscious children, for the propagation of the Krishna conscious children, it has also fallen apart, the marriage institution. And then drinking, we see, especially in the Western countries, if you walk down any street on the eve of the weekend, that is on Friday evening, there are so many bars and pubs, and in the cold season, only places where you will find people on the road are either in their cars or in various bars and pubs. There are no other social activities, hardly any social activities apart from people coming together for drinking sessions. In fact, most of the social functions, no social function is complete without this particular scenario of people drinking. So, eating, sleeping, mating, defending, all these basic needs which are common between the human population and the animal population, they all, because of not following any rules and regulations, humans are almost on the platform of animals. In fact, there is that famous verse which comes in Mahabharata: ahara nidra bhayamaitunam cha samanyam etat pashubi narana dharmena eka dharmena eka adhiko vishesho dharmena hina pashubi samana. That means if we don't follow the rules and regulations mentioned in dharma, then these processes, basic needs of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, they leave us no better than animals. It is as good as being Dvipada Pashu, two-legged animal. And Srila Prabhupada gives the example of Ajamil in the purport by saying how, due to the bad association that Ajamil had for few moments, not for very long, and he contemplating on that scene that he was seeing, where the Shudra man and the woman, they were engaging in illicit activities publicly, that affected Ajamil, the young boy, in such a way that all his trainings and upbringing that his father had imparted upon him, it went for a toss, and Ajamil drove away his own chaste wife as well as his old parents out of his home, and he married the prostitute and committed all types of sinful activities just to maintain the household, just to maintain that prostitute and so many children that he begot from her. So Dharma is asking Mother Cow, is she lamenting because of this degradation in terms of the basic needs of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending in Kali Yuga on the Earth planet? So we proceed. Yes, so let me see the next set of devotees. Oops. Prema Priya Jayashree Mataji, Hare Krishna. You
Hare
want to
Krishna,
read?
Prabhuji. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yatvambate bhuri bharavatara.
Yadvambate bhuri bharavatara
Krutavatarasya harer dharitri.
कृतावतारस्य हरे धरित्री
हरे धरित्री
Antarhitasya smrati visrista.
अन्तर्हितस्य स्मरति विश्वस्य
Karmani nirvana vilambitani.
कर्माणि निर्वाणि.
Hare Krishna.
Translation.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai. O Mother Earth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, incarnated himself as Lord Sri Krishna just to unload your heavy burden. All his activities here are transcendental and they experiment the path of liberation. You are now bereft of his presence. You are probably now thinking of those activities and feeling sorry in their absence. Do I continue, Prabhuji?
No, we will take a point here.
Yes.
So, like we saw in the interaction between Yudhishthir Maharaj and Arjuna, when Arjuna was away for a very long period of time, around 7 months, to visit Dwaraka and check upon the well-being of the Yaduvamshis and to meet his intimate friend Lord Krishna. When Yudhishthir Maharaj saw all the ominous symptoms all around, and he made so many speculative inquiries to Arjuna, whether this has been the reason of your dejection, or whether that was the reason of your dejection. And after inquiring about the well-being of all the Yaduvamshis and all, finally Yudhishthir Maharaj invariably comes to his biggest fear. Or is it, my dear brother Arjuna, is it that the Lord of our life, Lord Sri Krishna, has concluded his pastimes, which has made you so dejected and you are in such a lamentable condition? So, here also, similarly, after making so many inquiries to Mother Earth in the form of cow, now Dharma, the bull, is making the final inquiry. Or is it, my dear Mother Earth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari, who incarnated himself as Lord Krishna just to unload your heavy burden? All his activities here are transcendental and they cement the path of liberation. Specifically, the word that has been used to describe the activities of the Lord is Nirvana Vilambitani, which Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport as those activities, the description and hearing of Lord Krishna's activities, it even minimizes the value of liberation, because the rasa, the taste in discussing those activities of Lord Krishna is so much that in front of that taste and the nectar, the joy one derives from that discussion, the joy of attaining liberation, it is insignificant. Krishna's activities are mentioned as those that minimize the value of liberation. Srila Prabhupada mentions it in the purport. So that Lord Krishna, you are now bereft of his presence and you are probably now thinking of those activities and feeling sorry in their absence. So Dharma is now making his final inquiry. Or is it that because Lord Krishna, who performs so many beautiful activities on your surface, my dear Mother Earth, he has now concluded his pastimes, and that going away of Lord Krishna back to his own abode is causing you lamentation and misery. So please explain. So let me see how big is the purport is not long. We can read through the complete purport. Yes, Mataji, you can go through.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. The word used here is nirvana.
You can read the complete purport, Mataji.
Okay,
It is
okay, Prabhuji. The activities of the Lord include liberation, but they are more relishable than the pleasure derived from nirvana or liberation. According to Srila Jiva Goswami and Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura, the word used here is nirvana vilambitani, that which minimizes the value of liberation. To attain nirvana, liberation, one has to undergo a severe type of tapasya, austerity. But the Lord is so merciful that he incarnates to diminish the burden of the earth. Simply by remembering such activities, one can defy the pleasure derived from nirvana and reach the transcendental abode of the Lord to associate with him, eternally engaged in his blissful, loving service. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you. So the dharma in the form of the bull is glorifying the activities of the Lord by referring to those activities as nirvana vilambitani. In front of the glorification, even the joy of attaining the liberation is insignificant. These description of the activities, they minimize the joy derived from liberation. Are you bereft of the association of such Supreme Lord, because of which you are so miserable? So we proceed. 1 second. Yes. Vandita Tungavidya Mataji, Hare Krishna, you want to recite the verse?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Then let's.
Idam mama chikshvatavadhimulam
Idam mama chakshvatavadimulam
vasundareyena vikarshitasi
vasundhariyena vikarshitasi
kalena vate balinam baliyasa
kalena
Baliyasa.
surachitam kim hrutamam vasaubhagam
Surachitam kim ambasau. Translation.
Hare Krishna. Mother, you are the reservoir of all riches. Please inform me of the root cause of your tribulations, by which you have been reduced to such a weak state. I think that the powerful
influence on the left.
fire, which conquers the most powerful, might have forcibly taken away all your fortune, which was adored even by the demigods.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank
So,
you.
the purport is small, so we will go through the purport. By the grace of the Lord, each and every planet is created fully equipped. So not only is this earth fully equipped with all the riches for the maintenance of its inhabitants, but also when the Lord descends to the earth, the whole earth becomes so enriched with all kinds of opulences that even the denizens of heaven worship it with all affection. But by the will of the Lord, the whole earth can at once be changed. He can do and undo a thing by his sweet will. Therefore, no one should consider himself to be self sufficient or independent of the Lord. So, we have seen earlier in our discussion, one second, we missed this slide. So basically, Nirvana Vilambitani, the Lord amongst all his different devotees, is very, very merciful towards Mother Earth to an extent that before the appearance of any different incarnations of the Lord, as Lord Krishna or Lord Ramachandra, we see the typical process is that when Mother Earth is overburdened, overwhelmed by the presence of so many demoniac personalities, entities upon her surface, then Mother Earth approaches Lord Brahma, and who takes Mother Earth along with all the devatas near the shore of the Milk Ocean, Shweta and where Lord Brahma offers prayers to Lord Vishnu, and who then guides Lord Brahma appearing within his heart. So we see that all these incarnations, in fact, Lord Krishna himself confirms in Bhagavad Gita that all these incarnations they ultimately appear to reduce the burden of asuras on Mother Earth. So, in the interest of time, we won't specifically go through this verse, but I would just read through the translation. My Lord, the transcendental bliss deriving from meditating upon your lotus feet or hearing about your glories from pure devotees is so unlimited that it is far beyond the stage of Brahmananda. Brahmananda means the stage of merging into the impersonal Brahman effulgence of the Lord, wherein one thinks himself merged in the impersonal Brahman as one with the Supreme. Since Brahmananda is also defeated by the transcendental bliss derived from devotional service, then what to speak of temporary blissfulness of elevating oneself to the heavenly planets, which is ended by separating sword of time. Although one may be elevated to the heavenly planets, he falls down in due course of time. So here again, the description of the glories of the Lord is being compared against Brahmananda by stating even the bliss of attaining Brahmananda is nowhere close to the bliss of discussion of Krishna Katha or even elevation to the heavenly planets. So coming back to this verse, text 24. So Lord Krishna, whenever Lord Krishna is personally present, invariably all the other opulences, they automatically manifest on the earthly planet. Like the bull here is mentioning to Mother Earth. And we see in the response of Mother Earth, she also acknowledges that how when Lord Krishna was personally present upon her, all the riches in terms of various grains, fruits, vegetables growing profusely, all the earth being covered by green vegetation and lush greenery, and all the minerals being produced in a profuse manner by all the mountains, etc. And cows on Mother Earth, they supplying profuse supply of milk. So all these opulences are invariably there only because of the presence of the Lord. And now that Lord has disappeared from your surface, my dear Mother Earth, that is it that the influence of the time factor of the Supreme Lord, which is another power of the Supreme Lord as the time factor, it has taken away everything. And this particular power of the time factor we have discussed earlier, that even on this earthly planet, even for spiritual institutions of the earlier ages and the spreading of influence of such a spiritual institutions, it also diminishes over a period of time by the influence of the time factor. We had discussed the example during the time of the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, who had dedicated their whole life because of the will to fulfill the mission of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Specifically, they were tasked with two important instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One was to write, to present all the essence of all the Vedic scriptures in writing in such a way so that the Vaishnava philosophy can be spread all over the earth. So to write books presenting the Vaishnava philosophy based on all Vedic literature, that was one of the primary instruction. And second primary instruction to the Goswamis of Vrindavan by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was to excavate the places of pastimes of Sri Radha and Krishna and present those places for people to nourish their devotional service to Lord Krishna. So we see that when the spread of Krishna consciousness was flourishing during the time of the Goswamis, and it was flourishing in a very, very systematic manner, where they were getting the copies of those writings available to the people in general, and they were training the devotees like Srila Narottam Das Thakur, Srila Shamananda Prabhu, and Srinivas Acharya, these type of great scholars, devotees, they were being trained by the Goswamis to spread the message of Lord Chaitanya in different parts of India and Bharatavarsha, specifically in Gauda Desh, in Orissa and Bengal. But still, the influence of time factor acted in such a way that gradually those teachings of Goswamis, they became covered, and so many apasampradayas, so many misinterpretations of those teachings, they became prominent to such an extent that by the time it was the end of the 18th century and the beginning of the 19th century, there were very few devotees who were practicing in a in an atmosphere of fear and all, like before the time of Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, where these pure teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had completely become obscured, had completely become covered. And we see a person like Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he was specifically sent by the Lord, and he's none. Hare Krishna, my apologies, Prabhuji's, Mataji's. Is there a background sound that you can hear of drilling? Or
No,
is it?
No, Prabhuji, nothing.
Okay, okay, fine. So those teachings were again revived by this great Acharya, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, in the beginning of 19th century when he appeared, by spreading those teachings in a very, very structured manner through the Namahatta preaching, and by writing so many wonderful books to revive those teachings given by the six Goswamis of Vrindavan and the subsequent acharyas, including Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan, so on and so forth. So the point we were trying to put forth is that the influence of the time factor is so great that even after appearance of the personal form of the Lord in the form of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and empowered representatives in the form of 6 Goswamis, the influence of time factor acted in such a way that within few centuries down the line, all those teachings had become completely obscured. They had become completely covered. And Radha Kund and Shama Kund, uh, even those holy tirthas at the time of Srila Rupa Goswami and the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, they had become just like a small ponds in the paddy fields. That means even they had become obscured. So more than one time, we see even after the appearance of such great personalities, what to speak of great personalities of Lord Krishna himself, some time down the line, the influence of time factor covers this all, destroys it all. And again, many of the great personalities who are like personal servants and associates of the Lord, like Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and subsequently Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada, our own founder Acharya. So all these great representatives of the Lord, they have to again put their effort to revive these teachings. So this shows how powerful is the influence of the time factor. Even after Lord himself appearing, some time down the line, all these teachings become invariably covered and the institutions they get diminished. So the dharma in the form of the bull is inquiring to Mother Earth in the form of cow. Is this the influence of the time factor of the Lord which has caused this dejection and miserable condition for you? Is this why you are lamenting? So now, so far we saw all so many inquiries from bull, from dharma in the form of bull to Mother Earth. Now we see the response from Mother Earth. So Dharani Uvacha. Usha Kamat Mataji, you want to recite? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Yeah. Text 16.25. Dharani Uvacha
Dharani Uvacha.
Bhavan hi Veda Tat Sarvam
Bhavani Veda Tat Sarvam.
Yanmam Dharmanu Pritchasi
Dharmanu Pritchasi.
Chaturbhir Vartase Yena
Chaturvirvartasena
Paday Loka Sukhavahai.
Translation.
Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada Ki Jai. The earthly deity in the form of a cow thus replied to the personality of religious principles in the form of a bull. O Dharma, whatever you have inquired from me shall be known to you. I shall try to reply to all those questions. Once, you too were maintained by your 4 legs, and you increased happiness all over the universe by the mercy of the Lord.
Thank you, Mataji. The purport is not too long, so we will go through the complete purport.
Purport: the principles of religion are laid down by the Lord himself, and the executor of such laws is Dharma Raja or Yamaraja. Such principles work fully in the age of Satya Yuga. In the Treta Yuga, they are reduced by a fraction of 1/4. In the Dwapara Yuga, they are reduced to 1/2. And in the Kali Yuga, they are reduced to 1/4, gradually diminishing to the 0 point, and then devastation takes place. Happiness in the world depends proportionately on the maintenance of the religious principles, individually or collectively. The best part of valor is to maintain the principles despite all kinds of odds. Thus, one can be happy during the span of life and ultimately return to Godhead. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhupada.
Thank you, Mataji. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So we see Mother Earth is basically one of the things she is lamenting is how the 4 pillars of dharma, how they become systematically destroyed one by one after Satya Yuga. In Treta Yuga, the 1 pillar is destroyed. In Dwapar Yuga, the 2 out of 4 pillars are destroyed, and the Bull Dharma is practically standing on two legs. And in Kali Yuga, 3 out of 4 legs of Dharma are destroyed, with only the fourth leg, truthfulness, standing somehow or other, and even the strength of that fourth leg is also depleted. Srila Prabhupada mentions to the point of zero at the end of Kali Yuga, and then the devastation takes place in the form of Lord appearing as Kalki Avatar and destroying all the all the unscrupulous persons in this world before Satyuga begins again. And Srila Prabhupada writes, to the degree that we follow these principles of religion, there is a very nice saying in Sanskrit which says, Dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. Have you heard this, Prabhujis, Matajis? Dharmo rakshati rakshitaha.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
Yeah? It means that the protector of religion, he would ultimately be protected by that dharma itself, by that religion itself. That means a person who follows the religious principles, who remains loyal to the religious principles in the face of difficulties, in the face of degradation, that person will ultimately be protected by the same religion when that person is in the difficult part of his life. That means whenever there is an possibility of that person degrading because of at one point in time he has religiously followed loyal has remained loyal to following those principles of religion, that dharma will protect that person. Say for example, many of us we are wearing tilak, we are wearing tulsi mala neck beads within on our neck, and we are trying to follow the principles, the four regulatory principles as taught by our authorities, by our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada. So it is not that we are all are perfect in our lives. We are still like the toddlers who are learning to walk. And there are so many times when a toddler who is learning to walk, he falls down and again he gets up and keeps continuing those efforts to take the steps and to walk. So, being pleased by the sincere endeavor of a loyal follower who is trying to practice these regulatory principles and follow these principles of Dharma, even when there are times when there is a chance of degradation, either because of the past conditioning or because of some uh, errors in one's discretion in judgment, if we have been loyal to the following these principles throughout, we would also be protected by the same principles and be reinstated on our path. And there are so many examples that come in the scriptures of such personalities who became astray in their spiritual life because of some attachment or some anartha, but because at one time they had sincerely followed those principles, gradually they were reinstated. We see the example of Bharat Maharaj, that he at a very young age left his wife, palace, and all the opulences, which were even uncomparable to that of the Devatas. He had such a beautiful and obedient wife, so many obedient children, and the wealth, sovereignty of the entire earthly planet at his foot. But when he became astray, somehow he had to take like two lives, first as the deer and then as Jadabharata. But those same principles ultimately came to his rescue and he attained perfection in his life. Similarly, we see in the fifth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, beautiful story of Maharaj Priyavrat, who, as a renunciate, he was pursuing the path of spirituality by leading the life as a renunciate, as a complete celibate. But because of the instructions of Lord Brahma, he entered into the household life, started following those instructions. But at one point in time, he did go astray because of the influence of running the worldly kingdom, and he also became distracted. But because that following of the household path was on the authority of Lord Brahma, and because he had followed all these principles of religion sincerely earlier, those same principles of religion came to the rescue and help of Maharaj Priyavrat, and he was also subsequently reinstated in devotional service to Lord Krishna. So the point is, Dharmo Rakshati Rakshitaha. One who protects the religion will ultimately be protected by the very same religion when the dire need arises in the form of that person going astray or that person getting distracted in his religious path. So Mother Earth is lamenting the degradation in terms of one by one the 3 out of 4 legs of this bull being decimated, being destroyed with the coming of Kali Yuga, where the bull is standing on only one leg. So right now, beginning her answer, Mother Earth has mentioned the degradation of the religious principles as the first cause of her lamentation. Now, let us see what all other factors are causing her lamentation and miserable condition of life. So, this is a set of 3:26 to 30, 5 different verses, which in which Mother Earth she is recollecting various wonderful activities, wonderful qualities of the Lord. Activities will come bit later. She is recollecting the wonderful qualities of the Lord. Dhanya Dhameshwari Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I would like to recite.
Yes, Mataji.
Satyam Shausham Daya Shantis.
Satyam
Shausham
Daya
Shantis.
Shantis.
Yaga Santosha Arjavam.
Tyaga
Santosha Arjavam.
Samodamastapa Samyam.
Samodamastapasanyam.
Dikshopa Parahita Shrutram.
Titikshho
Rudram.
Jnana Viraktir Aishwaryam.
Jnanam Aishwaryam.
Shauryam Tejobalam Smriti.
Shaudram Tejobalam
Smriti.
Swatantrayam Kaushalam Kantir.
Swatantrayam Kaushalam Shantir.
Dhairyam Mardhavam Evacha.
Dhairyam Madhavam Evacha.
Pragalpayam Prahashrayashilam.
Pragalpam Prashrayashilam.
Sahavojabalam Bhagaha.
Saha Ojabalam Bhagaha.
Balam Bhagaha.
Gambhiryam Stairyam Ashaktiyam.
Gambhiryam Stairyam Asaktam.
Mano ahankrita. Echanyeta Bhagavan.
Bhagavan.
Ayatra Mahagunaha.
Nityayatra Mahagunaha.
Prarthaya Mahatvam Ichadibhir.
Pratya Mahatvam Chadvari.
Naviyanti Sma Karhichit.
Naviyanti Karhichit.
Enaham Guna Patrena.
Enaham Gunapatrena.
Vasena Sampratam. Soshami Rahitam Lokam.
Sochami Rahitam Lokam.
Apmana Kale Nikshitam.
Papana Kalinikshitam.
Now the translation is bit long, so we won't go through the complete translation. But basically here in this set of verses, Mother Earth in the form of cow is recollecting all different qualities of Lord Krishna. So first reason for lamentation we saw that dharma, the principles of dharma, they have depleted in the form of 3 out of 4 pillars getting getting cut by the influence of different ages, where the bull is ultimately standing on only one leg, the truthfulness. And next reason for lamentation, Mother Earth mentions, he basically recollects all the glorious qualities of Lord Krishna, who was residing upon her surface in the form of truthfulness, cleanliness, intolerance of another's unhappiness, power to control anger, self satisfaction, so on and so forth. So there are total 40 characteristics of Lord Krishna, and these are the principal ones which are recollected by Mother Earth. And subsequently, we will also see some part of Srila Prabhupada's purport. And many other transcendental qualities which are eternally present and never to be separated from Him. The personality of Godhead, the reservoir of all goodness and beauty, Lord Sri Krishna has now closed his transcendental pastimes on the face of the earth. In his absence, the age of Kali has spread its influence everywhere. So I am sorry to see this condition of existence. So Mother Earth is now lamenting that not only are the principles of religion depleted, but Lord Krishna, who exhibited such amazing set of qualities, almost 40 qualities of Lord Krishna are listed in these prayers, he has disappeared, and the thing has not stopped at the disappearance of the Lord, but subsequently the age of Kali has started spreading its influence everywhere. So Mother Earth is greatly disturbed, and she feels sorry because of the degradation of the spread of Kali Yuga. And Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport, just like it is impossible to count the number of atoms present on the earth, and even considering a theoretical scenario that we are able to count this number of atoms present within the matter on the surface of earth, still we won't be able to count the qualities, transcendental qualities of Lord Krishna, because even as we are speaking, that infinite number of qualities of Lord Krishna are further being expanded at every moment. And it is also mentioned that Lord Anantadev, with thousands and thousands of its fangs and its mouths, he is eternally been glorifying the different qualities and activities of Lord Krishna. But still, through all these years of eternity, it has been impossible for him to completely, sufficiently describe the glories of the Lord, the qualities and pastimes of the Lord. So if it is that difficult, then how vast, how expansive are the transcendental qualities of the Lord? In fact, at the beginning of the description of appearance of Maharaj Parikshit, we see that the questions were asked about the history of Srimad Bhagavatam, the speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam, and the hearer of Srimad Bhagavatam, Maharaj Parikshit. So, in the beginning of 7th chapter, when Suta Goswami concludes the description of the history of Srimad Bhagavatam in the form of how Vyasadeva felt despondency and how subsequently Narad Muni appeared, mentioned to him about his past life, and how Vyasadeva felt inspired to compose Srimad Bhagavatam. When that episode finishes, at the beginning of the next episode, that is the birth of Maharaj Parikshit, and to begin that episode, the killing of the five sons of Pandavas, that description starts. The killing of the five sons of Pandavas by Ashwatthama. There, Suta Goswami, he glorifies the qualities of Lord Krishna by explaining that how even those personalities like Shukadev Goswami, who completely have nothing to do with this material world, who are like completely detached from anything to give and take in this material world from the very birth, from the very beginning of his life. Even such self satisfied devotees like Shukadev Goswami, they also become attracted to such quality, to such glorification of the qualities of Lord Krishna, what to speak of everyone else. So we know that Shukadev Goswami earlier he was a Jnani, he was not a Bhakta, but by hearing the verses glorifying the qualities of the Lord, he became he became a great devotee of the Lord. Similarly, the four Kumaras, they were also Jnani earlier, and by smelling the tulasi leaves which were offered at the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, they became into great bhaktas. So these qualities are glorified by even great detached personalities like Shukadev Goswami, what to speak of ordinary persons like all of us. So we will recite this verse. Please try to repeat. Suta Uvacha
Suta Uvacha
Atma Ramascha Munayo
Ramascha Munayo
Nirgrantha Api Urukrame
Nirgrantha
Gurukrame
Kurvanti Ahaitu Bhaktim
Kurvanti Haitukim Bhaktim
Bhaktim
Ittam Bhuta Guno Harihi.
Ittam Bhuta Guno Harihi.
So, as part of the meaning translation, it is explained how even the Atma Ramas, the completely self-satisfied personalities like Shukadev Goswami, they also become attracted to hearing these pastimes and qualities of the Lord, which are so nectarian. Then, okay, let's read through the translation. Sutta Goswami says, all different varieties of Atma Ramas, those who take pleasure in the Atma or spirit self, especially those established on the path of self-realization, though freed from all kinds of material bondage, they desire to render unalloyed devotional service unto the personality of Godhead. That means the Lord possesses transcendental qualities and therefore can attract everyone, including the Atma Ramas, including the liberated souls. So those who have nothing to give and take with this material world, even Krishna is able to attract those personalities as well, like Shukadev Goswami, etc. What to speak of everyone else. And what is the result of such attraction towards the transcendental qualities of the Lord? It is mentioned in the next verse, which is text 11. So previous verse was 1:7:10, and the next verse is 1:7:11. Harer Gunakshiptamate
Hare Gunakshiptamati
Mati
Bhagavan Badarayanihi
Bhagavan
Bhagavan
Badarayani
Badarayanihi
Adhyagan Mahad Akyanam
Adhyagam Mahat
Akhyanam
Akshyanam
Nityam Vishnu Jana Priyaha.
Nityam
Nityam Vishnu
Vishnu Jana
Janapriyaha.
Priyaha
Srila Shukadev Goswami, son of Srila Vyasadeva, was not only transcendentally powerful, he was also very dear to the devotees. Thus, he underwent the study of this great narration, Srimad Bhagavatam. So, because Shukadev Goswami, his mati, his intelligence was completely engaged in recollecting guna kripta, in recollecting the qualities of Lord Krishna. Subsequently, he learned Srimad Bhagavatam from his father, spread that Srimad Bhagavatam, and thus he became Vishnu Jana Priya. He became very, very dear to all the devotees, mainly because of his absorption on the name, form, qualities, and pastimes of Lord Krishna. Similarly, any person who is completely absorbed on the name, form, qualities, and pastimes, specifically the qualities of Lord Krishna as mentioned in this verse, then such a person automatically will become dear to all other devotees, and like all other devotees, all other living entities as well. So, coming back to this particular verse where Mother Earth is recollecting so many wonderful qualities of the Lord, and because of the conclusion of the pastimes of Lord Krishna, that personality who has exhibited all these wonderful qualities has gone away. Mother Earth is lamenting that now that Supreme Lord has disappeared from my surface, from the surface of Mother Earth. And recollecting all these unlimited qualities of Lord Krishna, she is feeling, experiencing that separation all the more. So we won't go through the purport. This is a wonderful purport, but very long, where all different qualities of Lord Krishna that are recollected by Mother Earth, they are further explained by Srila Prabhupada. So you can go through this purport at your leisure, Prabhuji's, Mataji's. Then Mother Earth's remembrance of Lord Krishna in answer to this particular question by Dharma about what she is, why she is lamenting, why she is in such a miserable, pitiable condition. That answer further continues. So, any devotee would like to recite Hare Krishna?
Mary Prabhuji.
Okay, Lalita Mataji, you lead the next one. Let Reena
Okay.
Mataji.
I am unable to raise hand because
Okay. Okay, no problem. Reena Mataji, please unmute.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, pranams Prabhuji.
Windows.
Atmanam chanushocami
Atmanam shocami
bhavantam chamarottamam
bhavantam chamaruttamam
devan pitrun rishim sadhun
devan pitrun sadhu
sarvan varnam tata shraman
Sarvan varnam
ashraman.
Translation.
Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I am thinking about myself and also, O best amongst the demigods, about you, as well as about all the demigods, sages, denizens of Pitraloka, devotees of the Lord, and all men obedient to the system of Varna and Ashrama in human society. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. So now Mother Earth is describing how whenever she is thinking about herself as well as about all other great personalities in this cosmic manifestation, including the residents of the higher planetary system, including the Devatas, the great sages of Tapoloka, the residents of the Pitraloka, all the devotees of the Lord, and who are obedient servants of the Lord, such pious souls, he is lamenting for all of them. Now, what would happen to all these personalities because of conclusion of the pastimes by Lord Krishna and the degradation that has started because of spread of Kali Yuga? So specifically in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions how the degradation of Kali Yuga happens is by the systematic degradation of the Varnashram system that has been created by none other than Lord Krishna himself. So, Reena Mataji, maybe you can read the highlighted part in the.
Okay, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. In the age of Kali, the first attack of the venomous snake strikes against the God-made Varnashrama Dharma, and thus a person properly qualified as a Brahmana is called a Shudra, and a Shudra by qualification is passing as a Brahmana, all on a false birthright claim. To become a Brahmana by a birthright claim is not at all bona fide, although it may be a fulfillment of one of the conditions, but the real qualification of a Brahmana is to control the mind and the senses and to cultivate tolerance, simplicity, cleanliness, knowledge, truthfulness, devotion, and faith in the Vedic wisdom. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So here it is mentioned how the degradation of the Varnashram system happens in terms of degradation of all the four social orders, specifically starting with the Brahmana class, where a Brahmana in Kali Yuga would be recognized as such just based on the birthright alone, which is not sufficient. Why? Because Srila Prabhupada in other purports gives the example, just like the son of a doctor cannot automatically be authorized as a doctor without he or she they attaining the proper qualification to become a qualified doctor, or the son of a judge cannot automatically be authorized to pass judgments just because he being born as the child of a judge. That judge, he would have to be qualified formally through the degree and clearing of the exam. Similarly, a Brahmana cannot simply be considered as a Brahmana just because he is born in that particular race or family. If he is not qualified, he is referred to as Brahma Bandhu. That means one who is related to a Brahmana, one who is the son of a Brahmana, but not a Brahmana by qualities. Just like this Brahma Bandhu, we saw this word being used many times while referring to Ashwatthama. Similarly, in the subsequent verses, we will also see a word called as Kshatriya Bandhu. Just like the relative of a Brahmana who does not possess the proper qualities of a Brahmana, it's called Brahma Bandhu. The relative of a Kshatriya who doesn't possess rightful qualities for a Kshatriya, he is called as Kshatriya Bandhu. That means one who is related to a Kshatriya, but is not a qualified Kshatriya. So through all this degeneration of the social orders of the Varnashram system, the Kali Yuga further begins. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada also lists some of the qualities of a Brahmana from Bhagavad Gita 1842. Shama, Dama, Shaucha, Shama, Dama, Shuchi, Shaucha, Arjava, etc. Tolerance, simplicity, cleanliness, knowledge, truthfulness, etc. All these are the qualities of a Brahmana, which when he cultivates, then he can be called as a proper Brahmana, not simply by birthright alone. So Mother Earth is lamenting for all these degradation of the social orders. So we proceed to the next verse, which is text 32nd and 33 combined. Lalita Vinodini Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Brahmadayo bahutitam yadapanga moksha. Kamas tapas samacharan bhagavat prapannaha. Shri swabasam aravindavanam vihaya. Yatpada bhagam malam bhajate anurakta. Tasyaham abja kulisang kushaketu ketaihi. Srimad Pader Bhagavathas Samalankritangi. Rin atyarocha upalabhya tato vibhutim. Lokan samam vyasrijat utsmayatim tadante.
Translation.
Yeah, translation by Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Lakshmi ji, the goddess of fortune, whose glance of grace was sought by demigods like Brahma, and for whom they surrendered many a day unto the personality of Godhead, gave up her own abode in the forest of lotus flowers and engaged herself in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord. I was endowed with specific powers to supersede the fortune of all the three planetary systems by being decorated with the impressions of the flag, thunderbolt, elephant driving rod, and lotus flower, which are signs of the lotus feet of the Lord. But at the end, when I felt I was so fortunate, the Lord left me. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So here, Mother Earth is recollecting her own fortune, that those lotus feet of Lord Krishna, which are adorned by various holy, what is it called? Chinna. What are the different?
Chinna, yes.
In English, what is it called? Marks. Different holy marks on the lotus feet of the Lord, including the lotus, the umbrella, the chakra, the flag, so on and so forth. That Mother Earth was adorning the lotus feet of the Lord. And what is the glory of those lotus feet? That Mother Lakshmi, for whose slightest of the favors, all these great personalities, including the Devatas, like Lord Brahma and so on and so forth, all these devatas, they are trying to please the Lakshmi Devi so as to get her favor, so as to get good fortune. Such Lakshmi Devi is completely willing to neglect all her worshippers just to pursue the service of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Those lotus feet are so sacred and so special. And I was so fortunate, oh my dear Dharma, the bull, that I was fortunate to have those lotus feet constantly be in my touch on the surface of mine because of Krishna traversing the surface of the earth. So that was my great fortune that I was getting to behold those lotus feet of Lord Krishna always 24 hours a day. And now that Lord Krishna has concluded his pastimes, so I am bereft of that fortune of beholding the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, which were adored even by Mother Lakshmi, despite being worshipped by so many great personalities. So serving the lotus feet of the Lord was greatest priority for Lakshmi ji, and those lotus feet were automatically made available to me without any separate endeavor. But now Lord has taken away that facility. So Mother Earth is lamenting. And here comes the beautiful verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto, glorifying the the lotus feet of the Lord, where Lord Krishna himself acknowledges the glories of his lotus feet. We will just read the translation. The Lord continued, because I am the servitor of my devotees, my lotus feet have become so sacred that they immediately wipe out all sin, and I have acquired such a disposition that the goddess of fortune does not leave me, even though I have no attachment for her, while others praise her beauty and observe sacred vows to secure from her even a slight favor. So Krishna is acknowledging in this verse that the only reason why his lotus feet have become so sacred and so powerful, that the reason is that because he himself serves the his own devotees, and because of that service Krishna is saying that his lotus feet have become so special, that those lotus feet, the service to that lotus feet is pursued by goddess of fortune, and who is attached to serving those lotus feet, pada sevanam, despite Lord not being attached even in the slightest of the ways to that service, but still goddess of fortune never ever wants to leave the service to that lotus feet of Lord Krishna. So they become special because of Lord's attachment to his devotees. And Mother Earth is now lamenting the absence of the touch of those lotus feet upon her surface. So we proceed. The hang on. And even in the prayers of Mother Kunti, we recollect a prayer where Queen Kunti was mentioning that the Pandavas, the kingdom was flourishing only because of the presence of the lotus feet of the Lord within that kingdom. And because of that, the kingdom had all the opulences and it was flourishing in so many different ways. So even Queen Kunti was lamenting when Lord Krishna was about to leave from Hastinapur to Dwaraka. So wherever Krishna is present, all these prosperity and opulence, naturally it is present. And this point is also acknowledged by Sanjaya in the last verse of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Wherever the Supreme Lord Krishna is present and wherever his great devotee Arjuna is present, all that follows, and one of those points is also the great opulence. It would definitely be present. So we proceed. So we read some part of the purport. Mataji, you can read through this part. In this age,
Hare Krishna. In this age, when everything is polluted by the contamination of Kali, it is instructed in the scriptures and preached by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that by chanting the holy name of the Lord, we can at once be free from contamination and gradually raise to the status of transcendence and go back to Godhead. The offenseless chanter of the holy name of the Lord is as auspicious as the Lord himself. And the movement of pure devotees of the Lord all over the world can at once change the troublesome face of the world. Only by the propagation of the chanting of the holy name of the Lord can we be immune from all effects of the age of Kali. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So here it is explained, similar to the presence of the Lord, when the Lord is not present, still we can make everything auspicious if we sincerely chant his holy names, and through that chanting of the holy names, we remember Lord Krishna. In fact, Bhagavatam mentions, just like we also saw in the episode of Vidura, that such great devotees of the Lord who are constantly chanting the holy names of the Lord and who are carrying the Lord within their heart, their presence itself, they traversing the surface of the earth itself, make those places holy or holier. So it's very, very important that when the Lord is absent now, we take his shelter in the form of his holy names, in the form of chanting of the holy names. And by this process, we can make ourselves immune from the degradation of age of Kali. So only few verses remaining, around 3 verses, 34, 35 and 36. All right. And 35th verse is very important. So there we will slightly give more time. Any devotee wants to recite Hare Krishna? Keep your hands raised, Prabhuji's, Mataji, so we can quickly request those devotees to read through.
May I continue, Prabhuji?
Okay, just give me 1 minute to see. We'll request devotees who have not
Yeah, yeah.
recited.
Yes.
If they are not there, then we will request. Hare Krishna, everyone. Ishwari, Murari, Priya, Mataji, Mamta, Nagvekar, Mataji, Mannat, Mataji, and so many other devotees. Ajit Tiwari, Prabhu. Ajit Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Yes, please unmute.
हाँ हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी Shall I start प्रभु जी
Yes, 34.
हाँ टेक्स्ट 16.34 श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय यो वै ममाति भारम
You can recite this, Prabhuji, in the meter of Brahma Samhita. Yo vai mamati bharam asuram vamsharajnyam. Like that.
अक्षौहिणी शतम अपनुदात आत्मतंत्र
Akshauhini shatam
त्वं दुहस्ताम उणापदम आत्मानि पौरुषेण सम्पादयान यदुषु रम्यम अभिभ्रद अंगम
Translation.
O personality of religion, I was greatly overburdened by the undue military phalanxes arranged by atheist kings, and I was relieved by the grace of the personality of Godhead. Similarly, you were also in a distressed condition, weakened in your standing strength.
And thus,
he also incarnated by his internal energy in the family of the Yadus to relieve you. Hare Krishna.
Purport, you can read through its small purport.
Okay, purport. The Asuras want to enjoy a life of sense gratification, even at the cost of others' happiness. In order to fulfill this ambition, the Asuras, especially atheistic kings or state executive heads, try to equip themselves with all kinds of deadly weapons to bring about a war in a peaceful society. They have no ambition other than personal aggrandizement, and thus Mother Earth feels overburdened by such undue increases of military strength. By increase of the Asuric population, those who follow the principles of religion become unhappy, especially the devotees or devas. In such a situation, the personality of Godhead incarnates to vanquish the unwanted asuras and to re-establish the true principles of the religion. This was the mission of Lord Sri Krishna and he fulfilled it. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you. Thank you. So we see here Mother Earth is basically confirming that one of the purposes of appearance of Lord Krishna, which was Paritranaya Sadhunam Vinashaya cha Dushkrutam. So when these ambitious kings who want to expand their influence to no limit, they cause lot of increase in the military strength, and such Asuric kings, they keep attacking other kingdoms and they make the life of the citizens, especially the devotees, very, very miserable because of their undue ambitions and aspirations. And because of increase in the military strength of such asuras, the earth becomes overburdened, and subsequently, through Lord Brahma, petitions the Supreme Lord to appear and relieve her of this burden of the Asuric kings. So now we come to the almost conclusion of these prayers by Mother Earth in the form of the cow. This is the second last verse which has the purport. And if you recollect, this verse we have quoted many different times how to describe how the presence of the Lord on the surface of the earth and the glorification of the name, form, qualities, and pastimes of such a Lord is the true form of Utsava, is the true form of glorification. So this is a very, very special verse. We will devote some time. And next verse, it anyway does not have purport. So after this verse, as such, the chapter will be concluded. So maybe let me see who all want. There is one hand up. Prema Priya Jayashree Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Kava sahet viraham purushottamasya.
पुरुषोत्तमस्य
प्रेमावलोकरुचिरस्मितवल्गुजल्पैः
प्रेमावलोकरुचिरस्मितवल्गुजल्पैः
स्थैर्यं समानम् अहरं मधुमानिनानाम् रमोत्सवमम यद् अङ्घ्रि वितङ्कया वितङ्कितायाः
रोमोत्सवो मम यदङ्कितायाः.
Translation.
Who therefore can tolerate the pangs of separation from that supreme personality of Godhead? He could conquer the gravity and passionate wrath of his sweethearts like Satyabhama by his sweet smile of love, pleasing glance, and hearty appeals. When he traversed my earth's surface, I could be immersed in the dust of his lotus feet, and thus would be sumptuously covered with grass, which appeared like hairs standing on me out of pleasure.
Purport.
There were chances of separation between the Lord and his thousands of queens because of the Lord's being absent from home. But as far as his connection with earth was concerned, the Lord would traverse the earth with his lotus feet, and therefore there was no chance of separation. When the Lord left the surface of the earth to return to his spiritual abode, the earth's feelings of separation were therefore more acute. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you. So in this verse, Mother Earth is recollecting how she was experiencing Roma Utsava, how she was experiencing the great festival of jubilation with hairs standing on end wherever Yat Angri Vitya Ankitayaha, wherever the lotus feet of the Lord were traversing upon her surface. And in order to explain why this walking of the footsteps, lotus feet of the Lord upon the surface of the earth was like a Roma Utsava for Mother Earth, she is giving reference to the mercy given by Lord to different devotees, especially the queens of Dwaraka. So it is explained that Lord Krishna, while in Dwaraka, he acted as a henpecked husband. That means as a husband who was completely devoted and committed to bringing pleasure and joy to his queens in Dwaraka. Specifically, the example is given of Satyabhama, mainly because Satyabhama, she was a very peculiar queen in terms of her demeanor, that she used to please Krishna by being very demanding or being upset at something not so significant. And Krishna would do everything to bring back the smile upon the face of Satyabhama. Like one time when she saw Krishna uh, pleasing Rukmini Devi by some of the flowers of Parijataka, she wanted the whole tree. And Krishna, in order to please this queen Satyabhama, he got the whole tree of the Parijataka flowers from the Nanda Kanana garden of Lord Indra. And he even fought with Indra in order to give this joy to Satyabhama. Similarly, in Lord Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes, we see so many demons receiving mercy of the Lord in different degrees. Like Putana, for example, when Krishna was just few days old, around 6 days old, Putana, who is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam as a Kechari. That means she was a flying demoness who used to get pleasure by killing the young toddlers, by killing the young children and drinking their blood. She was so bloodthirsty and such a wicked, demoniac person. But she also was benefited by the Lord, where Bhagavatam explains the glories that Krishna, while sucking the milk from her body, he also sucked her life air and completely purified her to the extent that Putana was trying to take away the child away from her body, but Krishna was like embracing that body of Putana, and he completely purified that body and all the anarthas that were present in the heart of Putana, and she got the position of being a nurse of Lord Krishna in the spiritual world. Similarly, we see Shakatasur got the mercy of the Lord when Lord Krishna, as a child, was few months old, around 3 months old. And then we see on the birthday of Lord Krishna, 1 year down the line, when the first birthday was being celebrated, Trunavarta, this demon in the form of a whirlwind, he picked Krishna up, and Krishna held upon the demon's neck so hard that the demon felt the weight of the small child unbearable to hold any further, and he came crashing down on the surface of the earth. We also see when Krishna was around 6 years old, 6 years, yeah, 6 years old, he also gave pleasure to the Brajavasis and the Nagapatnis by dancing on the hoods of Kaliya and purifying the Kaliya of all its misgivings, where the poison of Kaliya all came out, his blood in his body came out, and finally his strength was almost depleted to the point where he was about to die. And after granting mercy to Kaliya, the Nagapatnis, they sing Krishna's glories, that the lotus feet of the Lord, they are very difficult to achieve even for great personalities like Mother Parvati or Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma or even Sakshat Lakshmi herself. It is not easy to achieve the touch of the lotus feet of the Lord. And what pious activities did our husband commit in the previous lives that he has got so much ample touch of your lotus feet on so many of its hoods when you were dancing upon his heads. So definitely he must have performed great amount of pious activities that he has got such fortune. But my dear Lord, he is our only shelter. So please spare his life. He has learnt his lessons, and if you please, then spare his life so that he is not dead. And thus Nagapatnis pleased Lord Krishna. Krishna gave his mercy to Nagapatnis as well as their husband Kaliya. And then it is explained for what was that demon in the form of a python? Aghasur. For Aghasur, who came in the form of this great snake with his upper part of his mouth touching almost touching the clouds, it is explained that he was so demoniac that rest of all the demons who appeared in Vrindavan, they had the intention of killing Krishna, but Aghasur not only was wanting to kill Krishna, but also wanting to kill all his coward friends and the calves, knowing that if the coward friends of Lord Krishna they die, then the elderly gopas and gopis they will automatically relinquish their life because of losing their dear children. And if cows lose their calves, then even they won't be able to sustain their own life. So Aghasur, he specifically came with the intention of destroying the entire Vrindavan inhabitants by killing the coward friends and calves of Lord Krishna along with Lord Krishna himself. But still, Krishna granted him liberation. So, all these devotees of the Lord, including Putana, Shakatasur, Trunavarta, Aghasur, and all other demons, Kaliya, and all other demons, they got the mercy of the Lord at one point in time in Lord Krishna's pastimes. Similarly, the queens of Dwaraka, they were fortunate to get Lord's company only for a point in time, only for some time as part of the overall pastime of Lord Krishna. We see how for months together Krishna was staying in Hastinapur and the queens of Dwaraka, they were in separation from Lord Krishna. Similarly, we see the intimate parents, devotees of Lord Krishna like Nanda and Yashoda, they got the association of Lord Krishna only for 10 years and 8 months, slightly less than 11 years. And that too, during the daytime, Krishna used to go herding the cows in the forest, and they felt the separation. So all these devotees of the Lord, they got the mercy of the Lord only for a point in time, only for a limited period of time. But as far as earth is concerned, for the entire period of 125 years when the Lord was present on the surface of the earth, whether Lord Krishna was in Vrindavan or in Mathura or in Hastinapur or in Dwaraka, Mother Earth was getting the association of Lord in the form of touch of his lotus feet 24 by 7 without any disruption. So Mother Earth is recollecting this great fortune of her, which according to her own count was greater than even some of these great devotees who got the association of the Lord for a limited period of time. And this Roma Utsava, when the surface of Mother Earth was being touched upon by the touch of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, Yat Angri. Angri means the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, Pankajangri. Because those lotus feet were constantly in touch with the surface of Mother Earth, she considers her own fortune to be the greatest, the Roma Utsava. And now that Lord Krishna has concluded his pastimes upon the surface of the earth, the pain is very acute, and Mother Earth is feeling the separation from the Lord after having experienced that union for so long, day in and day out. This verse is very famous. We can note down the number for our own memorization. I don't know whether this is part of the verses for memorization. We can check that separately. And now we come to the last and concluding verse of this chapter, but it doesn't have a purport. So, Anjukta Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare
You
Krishna Prabhuji.
recite
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Trayor evam. Sorry Prabhuji. Trayor evam kathayato.
Tayorevam kathayoto
Prithvi dharmayatostata.
dharmastata
Parichinnam rajarsi. Saptah prachi saraswatim.
Translation.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. While the earth and the personality of religion were thus engaged in conversation, the saintly King Parichit reached the shore of the Saraswati river, which flowed towards the east.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hare
Manoj.
Krishna Prabhuji.
So we see that although Lord Krishna, apparently based on the previous verses, has taken away the good fortune of the Devatas, the great sages, or Mother Earth, or all other residents of the planet Earth by concluding his pastime, he would soon be granting unlimited mercy upon all these personalities in the form of his appearance as Srimad Bhagavatam, just few verses down the line when Lord Krishna would appear in the form of Bhagavatam from the mouth of Shukadev Goswami. So in the subsequent part of Canto 1, we will see how when Maharaj Parikshit reaches this place, how does he treat Kali Purusha when he sees the bull, the dharma in the form of bull and Mother Earth in the form of the cow in such a miserable condition, having their dharma having his 3 out of 4 feet killed, not killed, cut by Kali Purusha and Mother Earth in such a miserable condition. How does Maharaj Parikshit give punishment to Kali Purusha and at the same time not kill him but to grant him also shelter, considering it as the will of the Lord that Kali Purusha has appeared based on the will of the Lord. So very important part of Bhagavatam coming up in the form of how Krishna, after so much of a degradation in Kali Yuga, decides to grant his mercy in an unlimited manner by appearing as Srimad Bhagavatam. So we'll conclude chapter 16 here, how Maharaj Parikshit received the age of Kali. Any devotees have any questions, comments, or any thoughts to share? Hare Krishna. Venkata Narsimha Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Please unmute Prabhuji.
I want some clarification, sir.
Mhm.
In the purport of test 10, the
Okay, one
the
second.
symptoms of age of Kali were given as 4 these things.
One second, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, shall I stop live stream or?
No, live stream let it be. Once we stop the question answer, then we continue.
Okay.
One second. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
So symptoms of age of Kali were given as illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, these things. But in the 19th slide, you have mentioned different ones.
Okay, which slide you are referring to, Prabhuji? Slide number?
19.
Okay, one second. So
heading is same, but content is somewhat different. This content is present in purport of test 20.
So
the
I am
translation of
yes, Prabhuji. So this particular slide 19, I am giving the symptoms based on Srila Prabhupada's commentary to text 20. Okay. As such, all these symptoms are true in terms of the degradation in terms of 4 regulative principles, which is again related to the falling down of the 4 pillars of religion. Okay, Prabhuji. So let me go through the purport to connect the two. 1 second. All right. All these breaking of the 4 regulative principles, for example, indulgence in meat eating, which particular principle of religion does it violate? Indulgence in meat eating, it violates the mercifulness. Yeah, mercy. So this pillar of religion. Similarly, illicit relationship between the genders, which pillar of religion it violates? Cleanliness. And intoxication, it violates austerity.
Tapasya.
Austerity. And gambling or cheating, it violates truthfulness. So all these breaking of the 4 regulative principles, it also denotes one by one cutting of the 4 pillars of dharma, which also denote the 4 legs of the bull dharma, the bull Prabhuji. So both of these are connected. It is just that how they are represented in different verses, we have given it. Okay, Prabhuji?
These
So,
are the 4 causes for a lamentation of the cow. They have given in that 20th,
yeah. So
20th
as
section.
correct. So these are part of the lamentation why the earth in the form of cow is lamenting. There are multiple reasons that are given, and these are
Yes, yes,
also
sir.
one of the primary reasons. Is that all right, Prabhuji, or still confusing?
The heading of the slide is confusing. Symptoms of Kali Yuga.
For symptoms of Kali Yuga, let me just see. Hang on.
That may be changed to symptoms for the causes for lamentation of the cow.
Okay, I'll just take a relook, Prabhuji. I'll change it. Okay, after taking a relook, why I have given. I just don't want to change it immediately because if there was any flow, let me take a relook. Okay.
Okay.
All right. All right. Hare Krishna. Ananda Vilas Keshav Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, in 5th verse, it is mentioned that Sonaka rishis, Sonaka and Adi rishis, they told that you tell me about the activity of Parikshit Maharaj punishing the Kali only if it is related to Krishna.
Yes.
But from Srila Prabhupada's purport, we have read many times that every activity, whatever devotees do, we must listen them carefully, and they are all like equal.
Yes.
Like Arjuna fighting in battlefield is equal to the gopis in Ras Leela. So we must inquire and hear those activities in same bhav. Or so whatever devotees do means they are transcendental. But here Sonakadi Rishi, they are saying that if that activity is related to Krishna.
Yes.
But you know, Parikshit Maharaj is Mahabhagavat. He is called Mahabhagavat in first sloka. So whatever he is doing, that is related to Krishna only. So
yes.
why this question is asked? Why Sonagadi rishis?
Yeah. So first of all, the activities of the devotees, they are glorious and worth hearing because invariably they relate to Lord Krishna in one way or another. Here, Shaunakadi Rishi, let me just read through the purport. Why did Maharaj Parikshit simply punish him, the Kali Purusha, since he was the lowest of the Shudras, having dressed as a king and having struck a cow on the leg? Please describe all these incidents if they relate to Lord Krishna. So the reason for Parikshit Maharaj simply punishing the Kali Purusha and not giving him capital punishment, not destroying him immediately, is what was intriguing to the sages of Naimisharanya. And they felt that if our inquiries are worth enough that the answer would relate to glorification of Lord Krishna, then you answer. So specifically for Parikshit Maharaj, they did not have any doubt that whatever he will do, it would be in relationship to the Lord Krishna. But their inquiries, why Parikshit Maharaj acted in a particular manner, they wanted to understand it, and they mentioned that if you feel our inquiries are not absurd, they would ultimately lead to Krishna's glorification, then you answer them, Suta Goswami. Okay, so they are not, basically they are convinced that Parikshit Maharaj is a Mahabhagavad devotee, but their own inquiry, they are just being bit careful that is our inquiry something that would lead to glorification of Lord Krishna. Answer to that, then it is fine. Otherwise, if it is simply absurd inquiry which would not lead to glorification of Lord Krishna, no need to answer. I'll give you one example. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Say for example, one time when Srila Prabhupada was explaining about Dwaraka, how it was so huge, and even we saw in the particular chapter where Krishna enters Dwaraka, the description is mentioned how there were so many parks and so many lakes and greenery and parks at every square. So after that particular description, one particular devotee asked not Lord Krishna, Srila Prabhupada, about a very peculiar question, probably which may have been related to his earlier education or profession. That he asked Prabhupada, how was the drainage system managed in Dwaraka with 16,108 palaces? So that he could have been genuinely inquisitive, how it was managed and all that. But Prabhupada, he did not entertain that inquiry much. Prabhupada said, this is called absurd inquiries. Absurd inquiries means not exactly relating to the glorification of Lord Krishna. So it is just a speculation or thought that probably the Shaunakadi Rishis, they were careful that is our question worth asking, why did Parikshit Maharaj punish Kali in one way and not the other? And you please deem it fit whether it is fit for answering only if it relates to glorification of Lord Krishna. So that is my understanding, Prabhuji. They were completely convinced about Parikshit Maharaj, just that they wanted to their own curiosity inquiries to be answered, provided it is in the same flow and not any absurd
Means,
inquiry.
means they are taking humble position while asking the answer. So they want to show that position that
Yeah,
our question inquiry should not means should not be means
yeah,
inaccurate or something deviating from the Krishna. So they are taking humble position means
correct. They are taking humble position because they want the flow of answers from Sutta Goswami to continue in the way that they have been, which is about glorification of the Lord. So answer this only if that same flow is maintained and not diverted.
okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, Prabhuji's Mother, just give me 1 minute. Anybody else have any question you can ask? Meanwhile, let me get the link for the attendance. 1 second. Lalita Vinodini Mataji, you can stop the recording.